John was always a realist. He studied computer engineering, had a great group of friends, and worked part-time at a local gas station to help pay for his schooling. John had a roommate. His name was Karl. Karl was a great roommate and a good friend, but they were different in a lot of ways. For example, Karl was spiritual. He believed in a higher power and made prayer and meditation part of his day. John was always polite and never insulted his roommate Karl's spirituality. But deep down, John felt like it was all rubbish. One of Karl's favorite conversations was about angels. Karl believed angels were always there helping us. John would politely respond, but deep down was very skeptical. Even though it was obvious that Karl believed his experiences, it wasn't lying to John. John had never seen any evidence that angels were real. He simply assumed Karl had an overactive imagination and a very kind heart. One night, over dinner, Karl asked John if he'd ever experienced anything like an angel. John replied, "No, never." Karl said, "You know, you probably have encountered an angel. You just didn't know what signs to look for." Karl asked John if he'd ever seen a white feather just float down from nowhere. If you see a white feather just float down from nowhere, that was a sign John's guardian angel was around and looking out for him. John was polite, but in his head he was laughing. Imagine, he thought, thinking a molting pigeon is some kind of sign. 2 weeks later, John is getting ready for his part-time job. It's winter, lashing rain, dark, almost like nighttime, but it's 7 p.m. John loved his car, but it was 20 years old and sometimes had mechanical issues. On his way to work, John approached a busy intersection. It was pouring rain and hard to see. Even though the light was green, cars were moving very slowly. Just as John was about to cross the intersection, his car engine died. Completely cut out. John started to swear in frustration, when only seconds later, a man in a stolen silver BMW plows through 3 sets of lights at about 100 miles per hour, with 2 cop cars chasing behind him. With wide eyes, John realized if his car had died right before the intersection, that it would have been pulverized. He couldn't believe the incredible luck. A minute later, John turned the key to the car, started, and despite the heavy rain and wind, a white feather floated gently down on his windshield.